Every single morning, you wake up, you grab your phone, you scroll, you buy coffee, you order takeout, you pay rent, you fill up your gas tank, you watch this video. And here's what you don't think about. None of that happens by accident. Behind every cup of coffee, behind every iPhone, behind every road you drive on, behind every dollar in your bank account, there is a system, an economic system. And that system, whatever it is, literally shapes your entire life, your job, your salary, the price of gas, whether you can see a doctor, whether you can start a business, whether you can fail, whether you can succeed. So today, on the Economic Autopsy, we are cutting open the three main economic systems that rule the world: market economies, planned economies, and mixed economies. We're going to look at the advantages, the disadvantages, the real-world examples, the case studies, the exam questions, everything. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your country's economy the same way again. Let's get into it.
So let's start with the basics. An economic system is simply the way a country organizes its economy. It's the rule book, the operating system, like Windows or iOS, but for a whole country. And here's the key question that separates every economic system. How much should the government intervene, and how much should they leave people alone? That's it. That's the big debate that has divided economists, politicians, and entire nations for centuries. On one side, you have people who say the government should stay out. Let households and firms do whatever they want. Let the market decide. On the other side, you have people who say the government needs to control everything, plan everything, own everything, because leaving it to the market creates inequality and chaos. And then you have the people in the middle, which is most of the world, who say, let's do a bit of both. These three positions give us the three main economic systems: market economy, planned economy, mixed economy. Let me show you what I mean. Before we go deeper, I need you to understand something. Every economy, whether it's the United States, China, North Korea, Germany, Cuba, or Canada, has to answer three fundamental questions. And I mean fundamental. You cannot run a country without answering these. Question number one, what should we produce? Sounds simple, right? But think about it. Should we build more roads or more hospitals? Should we produce more fighter jets or more school textbooks? Should we invest in space exploration or in feeding the homeless? Resources are limited, so every country has to choose, and every choice has a cost. That's what economists call opportunity cost. Question number two, how should we produce? Are we going to use a lot of workers and basic tools, or are we going to use machines and automation? Should we build factories in cities or in rural areas? Should we use clean energy or cheap coal? These decisions shape the entire landscape of a country. They determine who gets jobs, who gets polluted, who gets rich. And question number three, for whom should we produce? This is the big one, the one that gets people emotional. Who gets the stuff? Should everyone get free healthcare regardless of income? Should only the rich get access to the best schools? Should food and water be guaranteed to every citizen, or only to those who can pay? Now, different economic systems answer these three questions in completely different ways. Let's start with the one that most Americans think they have, the market economy. A market economy, also called a free market system or capitalism, is the economic version of you do you. In a pure market economy, the government basically stays out of the way. No price controls, no production quotas, no telling businesses what to make or how much to charge. Instead, everything is driven by supply and demand. You want to open a pizza shop? Go ahead. You want to charge $50 for a slice? Good luck. No one's going to buy it. You want to charge $2? Maybe you'll get customers. The market decides, not the government. Resources are allocated based on price. A high price encourages more supply. A low price encourages consumer spending, and resources go to whoever has the willingness and ability to pay. Now, what are the features of a market economy? First, private ownership. Individuals and firms own the resources, not the government. Second, no government interference, at least in theory. Third, financial incentives. Land is used for whatever gives the greatest financial return. Unprofitable products disappear. Fourth, competition. And competition creates choice. It creates opportunities. It drives innovation. And the example that economists always point to? Hong Kong. Hong Kong has been ranked the freest economy in the world since 1995. Singapore second. These are places where the government barely touches the economy. Now, what are the advantages of a market economy? Advantage number 1, efficiency. When businesses compete, they have to be good. They have to keep prices low and quality high. If they don't, they go out of business. That pressure actually makes the whole economy more productive. Advantage number 2, innovation. Think about smartphones. Think about electric cars. Think about streaming services. Most of these came from market-driven economies where entrepreneurs took risks and either got rich or lost everything. Advantage number 3, freedom of choice. Walk into a grocery store in a market economy. You've got 20 types of bread, 15 types of coffee, 10 types of toothpaste. That's choice. Advantage number 4, incentives. The profit motive is powerful. The possibility of earning unlimited wealth makes people work harder, invest more, save more, and take risks. That boosts economic growth and living standards. But, and this is a big but, market economies have some serious problems. Disadvantage number 1, environmental destruction. Factories pollute, cars emit carbon, resources get depleted, climate change happens. The market doesn't care about the planet unless the government steps in. Disadvantage number 2, massive inequality. In a market economy, the rich have far more choice and economic freedom. Production is geared toward people with money. The poor get left behind. Basic services for the poor might be neglected entirely. Disadvantage number 3, social hardship. The government isn't providing public goods like streetlights, roads, or national defense. Relief for poverty might only come from charities, if they exist. Disadvantage number 4, wasteful competition. Companies spend billions on advertising. Super Bowl commercials cost millions of dollars for 30 seconds. That's wasteful. That money could have been used to lower prices or improve products, but instead it's spent on marketing wars. And here's something else. In a pure market economy, there's no guarantee that anyone will provide healthcare, education, or housing for the poor. If you can't pay, you don't get. That's the cold reality of pure capitalism. So that's the market system. Freedom, innovation, choice, but also pollution, inequality, and suffering. Now let's look at the complete opposite.
A planned economy, sometimes called a command economy or a socialist economy, is the exact opposite of a market economy. In a planned economy, the government doesn't just set the rules. The government owns everything. The government decides everything. What should we produce? The government decides. How should we produce? The government decides. For whom should we produce? The government decides. And historically, the best examples are China in the past, though China has changed a lot, and the former Soviet Union. Today, North Korea, Laos, and Cuba are the closest things to pure planned economies. So how does a planned economy actually work? Let me break down the features. Feature 1. Production decisions, what, how, and for whom, are all made by the government. Feature 2. Resources are controlled by the government on behalf of its citizens. Feature 3. Production schedules are long-term, 5-year plans, 10-year plans. The government decides how many cars to make, how much wheat to grow, how many houses to build. Feature 4. Wage differences are minimal. Everyone gets paid almost the same because the ideology believes in equality. And Feature 5. Very little international trade. Planned economies try to be self-sufficient. They don't want to rely on other countries for food, energy, or medicine.
Now, what are the advantages of a planned economy? Advantage number 1, economies of scale. When the government runs everything, it can operate on a massive scale. One national electricity grid, one national postal service, one national railway. That can be very efficient in theory. Advantage number 2, no wasteful competition. In a market economy, companies spend billions on advertising. In a planned economy, there's no advertising, no marketing wars, no competing brands of the same product. That saves resources. Advantage number 3, social equality. Everyone gets healthcare, everyone gets education, everyone gets a job. In theory, at least. There's no homelessness like you see in some market economies because the government provides housing. Advantage number 4, social protection. The government can pass strict laws to protect the environment, conserve non-renewable resources, and minimize pollution. They can constrain economic growth for the sake of the planet. Advantage number 5, full employment of resources. Careful state control can ensure that every worker, every machine, every piece of land is fully utilized. No waste, no unemployment. But, and this is a massive but, planned economies have huge disadvantages. Disadvantage number 1, no economic freedom. You don't get to choose your job. The government tells you where to work. You don't get to start your own business. You don't get to choose what to buy because there's only one brand of everything. If you want shoes, there's one type of shoe. If you want bread, there's one type of bread. Disadvantage number 2, no incentives. Why work hard if you get paid the same as everyone else? Why innovate if there's no competition and no profit? In planned economies, people often do the bare minimum. There's no reward for doing more. Disadvantage number 3, bureaucracy. You need thousands of government officials to run a planned economy, and these bureaucrats aren't taking risks. They're not entrepreneurs, they follow rules, and that leads to inefficiency, shortages, and surpluses. Remember the Soviet Union? People stood in line for hours to buy bread because the government planned badly. Too much of some things, not enough of others. Disadvantage number 4, lack of international trade. When you try to be self-sufficient, you cut yourself off from the global economy. Other countries retaliate, they restrict exports, your economy stagnates. So, planned economies sound good in theory, equality, security, no waste, but in practice, they often lead to poverty, shortages, and lack of freedom. That brings us to the system that most countries actually use.
Here's the truth. Pure market economies barely exist. Pure planned economies barely exist. Most countries live in the middle. That's called a mixed economy. A mixed economy is exactly what it sounds like, a mix of market and planned elements. Some stuff is left to the free market. Private businesses compete. Prices are set by supply and demand. People make profits. People also go bankrupt. But at the same time, the government steps in to fix the problems that markets create. So what does that look like? In a mixed economy, the government owns certain things, usually what economists call public goods. Things like roads, bridges, national defense, public schools, sometimes healthcare. But the government also regulates private businesses, environmental laws, minimum wage laws, safety standards, labor laws. And the government provides a safety net, unemployment benefits, food assistance, social security, public housing. The best examples? The United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Australia, Japan, Sweden, Italy. And honestly, the United States is also a mixed economy. We just lean more toward the market side. The public sector in the US is smaller than in Europe, but it's still there. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, public schools, roads, military, that's all government. Now, why do most countries choose a mixed economy? Because it solves the problems of both extremes. From the market side, mixed economies keep efficiency, innovation, and consumer choice. You still have competition, you still have entrepreneurs starting new businesses, you still have 20 types of bread at the grocery store. From the planned side, mixed economies provide social protection. You're not left to die if you lose your job. You don't have to pay $1 million for cancer treatment, at least in countries with public health care. The government makes sure basic needs are met. In the UK, the public sector accounts for about 45% of GDP. In France, about 43%. That's a huge amount of government involvement, but still plenty of room for private business. So mixed economies get the best of both worlds. Necessary services are provided for everyone. Most other goods are competitively marketed. Producers and workers have incentives to work hard, invest, and save. There's a large degree of economic freedom with plenty of choice. But mixed economies also have disadvantages. Disadvantage 1, consumers still pay higher prices due to the profit motive of private businesses. No one's giving you anything for free. Disadvantage 2, public sector activities must be funded by taxes, and taxes are not popular. The more the government does, the more they have to tax. Disadvantage 3, finding the right balance is hard. How much government is too much? How much market is too much? Every country argues about this constantly. So mixed economies are not perfect, but they're what most of us live in.
Let me give you some real-world examples so you can see how this plays out on the ground. United States, mixed economy, leaning toward market, private healthcare, private schools, private businesses everywhere. But the government provides Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, public schools, roads, military, food stamps, housing assistance. The debate in America is always about where to draw the line. United Kingdom, mixed economy, leaning more toward government than the US. The UK has the National Health Service, free healthcare for everyone. That's a planned element. But they also have a very strong market economy with private businesses and competition. Germany, also mixed, strong social safety net, free university education, strong labor laws, but also a powerful manufacturing sector driven by market competition. France, mixed with a very large public sector. About 43% of GDP is government spending, but still a thriving private sector. China, this is fascinating. China used to be a pure planned economy. Over 95% of economic activities were state-controlled. Now they call it socialism with Chinese characteristics. In reality, it's a mixed economy. The government still controls a lot: banking, energy, media, but they also have a massive market sector, private businesses, entrepreneurs, stock markets. It's complicated. North Korea, one of the few remaining pure planned economies. The government controls everything, and the result is widespread poverty, famine, and lack of freedom. Cuba, another planned economy, also struggling. But Cuba has excellent healthcare and education. That's the upside. The downside is low incomes and very little economic freedom. Hong Kong, the freest market economy in the world. Very low taxes, very few regulations, minimal government interference, and it has prospered enormously. Now let me share two fascinating case studies from your textbook.
The saying, "time is money," really applies in the world of advertising. Back in 2013, the Super Bowl, America's biggest sporting event, charged $4 million for a 30-second commercial. $4 million for 30 seconds. Now, here's the question. How could a company possibly justify spending $4 million on 30 seconds of airtime? The answer? The market. In a market economy, companies advertise because it works. That $4 million might generate $40 million in sales. It might build brand recognition that lasts for years. It might crush a competitor. But here's the downside. That $4 million is ultimately paid by you, the customer. Every time you buy a product, you're paying for the marketing, the packaging, the Super Bowl commercials, everything. In a planned economy, that $4 million would have been used to produce more goods or lower prices. No waste, no advertising wars. So which is better? That's the debate. The Economist Intelligence Unit ranked the world's top education systems. And guess what? Two completely different economic systems top the list: Finland and South Korea. Now, Finland's education system is 100% state-funded. Kids don't start school until age 7. They rarely have tests or homework until their teenage years. It's relaxed, equal, and completely government-run. South Korea is the opposite. Education is crucial for success. Huge pressure is placed on students. They start school at age 3. Testing is regular and rigorous. After-school private tuition classes are extremely popular. That's the market-driven approach. Both systems produce excellent results. So what's the lesson? The lesson is that spending on education matters, but what matters more is having a culture that supports learning. It's not just about the economic system, it's about values. The top 10 education systems according to the report: Finland, South Korea, Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, the UK, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Switzerland, and Canada. Notice something? These are mostly mixed economies with strong public and private elements. Let's talk about money. In 2013, the highest paid profession in the United States was surgeons. Top-end surgeons earned $181,850 a year. Second was chief executive officers at $140,890. Third was engineering managers at $140,210. Fourth was airline pilots at $134,090. Fifth was dentists at $132,702. Now, why are these jobs paid so much? Because of the market. These jobs require years of training. Surgeons train for over a decade. Pilots train for years. Dentists train for years. The supply of qualified people is low, but the demand is high. So the price, the salary, goes up. Now here's a question for you. What's the incentive for someone to become a surgeon? Money, obviously, but also prestige, purpose, the desire to help people. In a market economy, high salaries attract talent. That's a good thing. In a planned economy, everyone gets paid almost the same. So why would anyone go through 10 years of medical training? They wouldn't. And that's why planned economies often have shortages of doctors, pilots, and engineers. Incentives matter. Now, there's an organization called the Heritage Foundation.
Every year, they publish an Economic Freedom Index. They rank every country based on how free their economy is. And their research shows something interesting. There's a high correlation between economic freedom and standard of living. Countries with more economic freedom tend to have higher economic growth, better healthcare, better education, better environmental protection, and less poverty. Hong Kong has topped the list every year since 1995. Singapore is second. These are market-oriented economies. But here's the catch. Correlation is not causation. Does economic freedom cause prosperity, or do prosperous countries choose economic freedom? The debate continues. But the data is hard to ignore. Market economies substantially outperform planned economies in almost every measure of human well-being. Before we wrap up, let me give you some exam practice questions, because I know some of you are students. Question 1. Describe how scarce resources are allocated in a mixed economy. Answer. In a mixed economy, some resources are allocated by the market through supply and demand, while others are allocated by the government through planning and regulation. The private sector produces most goods and services for profit, while the public sector provides essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Question 2. Discuss whether education should be funded by the government. This is a classic debate. On one hand, government funding ensures everyone has access to education, regardless of income. That promotes equality and social mobility. On the other hand, government funding can lead to inefficiency, bureaucracy, and lack of innovation. Private education might be higher quality, but only for those who can afford it. There's no right answer. It depends on your values. Question 3. What are the merits of the market system? Efficiency, innovation, freedom of choice, incentives, higher economic growth, higher living standards. Question 4. What are the disadvantages of the planned system? No economic freedom, no incentives, bureaucracy, shortages, surpluses, poverty, stagnation. Now, after all of this, which system is best? Here's the honest answer. There's no perfect system. A pure market economy gives you freedom and innovation, but also massive inequality and instability. A pure planned economy gives you equality and security, but also poverty, shortages, and no freedom. A mixed economy tries to balance both, but it's messy. It requires constant adjustment, and people will always disagree about where to draw the line. But here's what I want you to take away from this episode. Every time you buy something, every time you pay taxes, every time you see a pothole in the road or a new hospital being built, you are experiencing the economic system of your country. It's not abstract. It's not just something you read in a textbook. It's your life. So pay attention, ask questions, understand that the debate between market and government is not just for economists in fancy suits. It's for all of us. If you found this helpful, smash that like button. Subscribe to the Economic Autopsy. We're cutting open the economy one topic at a time. And leave a comment. What's your country's economic system? And do you think it's working? Next time, we're doing an autopsy on supply and demand, the forces that secretly control your life. Until then, stay curious. The Economic Autopsy, out. All right, that was a long one. Few minutes of economics, you made it. Give yourself a gold star. See you next time.